Thank you to Billy Kills for his constant support on Patreon. Lathril, Blade of the Elves, versus Doran the Siege Tower, Extus, Oriq, Overlord, and Yidris, Malestrom, Wielder. And that is a fast hand, pretty good opening hand. We can go for that on turn 2, in for a turn 3 Lathril. Yeah, so I think we keep that one. And a land on turn 1 for us. We will, just go for the turn 1 Sol Ring. And then it's just a couple of Rakdos tap lands from our 2 patrons, Billy Kills on Extus. And we've got Brofisto on Yidris. Big thank you to my 2 opponents for supporting the channel monetarily and by supporting the channel playing the games with us. It does make a massive difference. Also got a friend of the channel according to the chat. Perdio, or Perdido, I think it is. Perdido is running the Doran deck. Just so happened to run into Perdido out in the wild. So hopefully we'll be able to get a good game going. Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, I think we definitely want to go Guardian Project, so let's get out of black mana. And then we'll go Guardian Project, because we do want to be drawing cards. We don't have that much going on in hand at the moment, so every bit of card draw is going to matter, I think. A Creeping Tar Pit from Brofisto. And a Sacred Foundry being shocked in and immediately gets rid of our Guardian Project. That's not good. They got rid of it with Wear and Tear, deciding to leave us with the Sol Ring. Maybe could have waited an extra turn so that they can get rid of both Sol Ring and the Guardian Project, but deciding against that. Sylvan Caryatid came down last turn, by the way, so could see their commander here. Instead, going for Eladamri's Call allows them to search for a creature, so maybe that will be a Reclamation Sage. Not sure if they'll run one of those in Doran. They search themselves up a Fauna Shaman. I think we have to try and go for the Lathril this turn. We could go Patriarch's Bidding quite early to cheat the Lathril out again. I think Swiftfoot Boots is the more intelligent play here. And we can get out the Snow Jewel with the Wooded Foothills. Now a Search for Azcanta from the 4-colour player. And now kills, shocking in a Godless Shrine. We know that he runs a lot of tokens in this deck, as a lot of Extus decks do. And now a Dockside Extortionist as well, makes 3 treasure tokens, going pretty fast here. And then a Wheel of Fortune. I'm actually not against that, because I'm not in love with the hand that we've got. We get into more fast mana. And replace our reanimation spell in Hunting Voyage. Get a Kaya's Cradle as well, yeah. We've got some pretty good stuff here. The Mana Crypt comes down as well. Love the fact that we lost the Vorinclex to the wheel there. Our opponent got into 2 pieces of ramp as well, though, in Sol Ring and the Mana Crypt, so yeah, we'll have to keep up with each other, or attempt to. Fauna Shaman discards a Deathrite Shaman, and ends up tutoring for a Birds of Paradise. Then goes for Wood Elves, so they'll be able to get that swamp that they need for the Tainted Field. And they do that in the form of a Shockland. Shocking it into play allows them to throw down the Birds of Paradise. Oh, and I accidentally F6 through the turn, so we don't get that Snowland out of the way, unfortunately. We'll just have to go for Shocking in an Overgrown Tomb of our own then. There is white mana being held up over here, so there might be a Swords or something, but yeah, we'll go for our commander anyway. And no Swords, thankfully, so yeah, we could go for the Gaia's Cradle and get out the Elderfang Venom. I don't think we necessarily care about that just yet. Probably want to get down some Dorks into play, so yeah, then we can make use of the Gaia's Cradle. Let's swing in to the left. And that does, of course, deal a couple of damage, so we get a couple of Elf Warriors. And that means we go Gaia's Cradle. We can get down the Jiraga Tree Speaker, and we'll level that up straight away. So that'll tap for 2 next turn. And then might as well throw down the Deathrite Shaman as well. And if the board gets wiped, we already have some decent stuff that we can pull out of the bin. But we do need to think about foretelling this sometime soon, just before that happens. Let's pass the turn. The fast mana keeps coming. A Scryland from Yidris into a Sol Ring. Now an Impulsive Pilferer, might be worth exiling that from the bin. With the Deathrite Shaman. I do want to exile this Vorinclex as well before that gets reanimated. A Cruel Celebrant is something that I would exile from the graveyard as well, assuming that they're trying to set up some kind of combo. Another wheel in Wheel of Misfortune, so... yeah, I don't think I'm going to battle any of my opponents for that. Maybe I'll take a hit for 10. Okay, Mystical Tutor. So if they get the wheel here, they'll be able to draw into whatever they tutor for. Each player secretly chooses a number 0 or greater, and it says the chosen number... It said the chosen number is 5, now it's saying it's 6. Aren't we supposed to do this in secret? Isn't that the whole point? I mean, I was going to do 10 anyway. So let's just say 10. Yeah, it's actually showing the number that we're bidding here, which is totally against what you're supposed to do with Wheel of Fortune, so you can outbid each other, which you're not supposed to be able to do. Decided to give up on our reanimation there. Doesn't look like we're going to be doing that this game, because I didn't actually have any elves. Haven't drawn into very many elves this game. But we do get into Skull Clamp and Shamanic Revelation, which is really good with all the mana that we're generating. Skull Clamp now goes on to the Impulsive Pilferer. And they went for Mythos of a Luna, by the way, with the Mystical Tutor or whatever it's called. Now a Talisman of Indulgence for kills. After the Skull Clamp, he is left with 3 cards in hand. And probably clamps the Dockside here. Nope, clamping the Cruel Celebrant, so maybe he's assuming that that is going to get blown up by something. Swinging in the Dockside Extortionist towards the 4-colour player, and then deciding to hold back. Don't think the 1 damage is really worth it there myself. Now an Animate dead, and that's why I wanted rid of the Vorinclex. I was worried about reanimation stuff, but we haven't had a chance to untap with the Deathrite Shaman and take Summoning Sickness away from that. Exile all cards from a target player's graveyard. Alright, so the mass reanimation probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Off to a very fast game here. Pattern of Rebirth. Enchants a creature that can sacrifice itself. That creature's controller can search for a creature card, put it onto the battlefield. And they do. Exile, yep, going for exiling our graveyard. They're going to get to search for a creature here. Oh, and that is Elesh Norm, so that might be us out of the game. We can't deal any damage with our Lathril now. Yeah, so unfortunately we've been slowed right down there. I think we're going to have to go for the Toxic Deluge next turn. We'll only have to tap down 1 land into that, which is 1 Saving Grace. And then a Jared's Orders, so yeah, definitely wanting to reanimate stuff in this deck. Pretty unusual Doran list. Was expecting to see a bunch of walls and stuff, or at least things with big toughness. And with that, they've gone for Zatalpa in the bin, and they've got Karmic Guide in their hand, so even if we reanimate... So even if we kill the board, they can reanimate something. Okay, we've got 4 coming in towards us, and 3 goes in at Broffisto. And then it's round to our turn, see if we can dodge the ball or not. We cannot dodge the bolt, so we go down to 16. Throne of the God Pharaoh, we are nowhere close to. Let's go for the Clamp. We're going to lose Lathril anyway, so we might as well draw some cards here. Alright, and there is a Farhaven Elf, so we go Toxic Deluge first of all, and then we'll decide what land we want to play. We only need to put 7 into it to get rid of the Elesh Norm, because this will lose -2, or it'll lose its +2/+2, so yeah, 7 is the highest toughness here. And we plummet all the way down to 9. Then we'll just go for the Swamp for the sake of saving ourselves some pings. And I think it has to be Farhaven Elf here. Get another Swamp into play. Don't have many black swamps in this deck. Or basic swamps even, not black swamps. I think we've only got 2 or 3, so try to fix our black mana as best we can. Yeah, I'm assuming that the Elesh Norm might come out again. They might just go for the Vorinclex again. To try and get into an answer for that, I will go for the Skull Clamp onto Farhaven Elf. And get into a Masked Vandal, which I don't think is going to do us much good, but we've at least got a creature in the bin that we can make use of it with. We've also drawn into a land that we can make use of, because we don't have to ping ourselves. We'll get rid of the Marsh Flats. And this is where we had to shock ourselves with Overgrown Tomb. This is where it becomes relevant, because we could be at 11 life now if we got the Snowland into play tapped. If we're desperate for an extra mana later on and we draw into the Snowland, that'll feel really bad as well. Yeah, and don't you ever forget it, boys. Now, Yidris, Malestrom Wanderer coming into play, thankfully without haste. And there is Heuristic Study as well. This is a hell of a game. They've transformed the Azcanta into the Sunken Ruin as well. Now, Fracture going straight onto the Heuristic Study. I'm not sure if my opponents have seen the Karmic Guide over here. Maybe they just don't have an answer to it. Maybe that Kills can exile the Vorinclex. And then Bitter Blossom for Billy Kills should go nicely with the Skull Clamp. Tapping down all of his white mana so it doesn't seem as though he's got an exile effect. And tapping it down into a black market. Alright, and yep, there's a Pernicious Deed. Gets rid of pretty much every permanent except lands and planeswalkers. So we could go down and lose pretty much anything, although we're likely to lose to Mana Crypt. Maybe not if it gets blown up with the Pernicious Deed. And we win the flip that time anyway. We could gain some life back with the Nadia's Blackblade. I think it might be time to make some tokens. So we'll throw down the Lathril again. And yeah, the Abzan player is paused on their turn, so they might have an answer to the Lathril. Let's try to get the Swiftfoot Boots on there. Still paused during our turn. Going for the Pernicious Deed now. To try and blow up pretty much all of our stuff. So we don't get haste on the Lathril, but we do keep our Lathril at least. Yeah, this gets rid of a lot of stuff. So no Swiftfoot Boots for us anymore. I think we have to go for Nadia's Nightblade, really. It's projecting what we're looking to do a little bit, but a lot of the players will be either looking towards us because we're at such a low life total and Lathril can be so explosive, or they'll be looking towards the Abzan player because of all the stuff they're doing anyway. Yeah, looks like they're looking in the direction of the Abzan player, so Yidris going to swing in and get some Cascade this turn. Broffisto has just been quiet in the corner over there, still at 7 cards in hand. And there is the Mythos of Aluna, and they are going to get a copy of the Black Market here, and that does have Cascade, of course. Gets them into their own Pernicious Deed. What is this game? So I'm hoping that they just use that to wipe out some tokens and they don't just set the board back to 0 again. Now a Mirage Mirror might dissuade them from going for 3 and above, which means we might be able to keep hold of our Nadia's Blackblade. Anyway, that cascades as well into a Farseek. 4 cards in hand now. And there's the Encore for the Impulsive Pilferer. Just trying to make some mana here, I imagine. So we'll block our token with the Nadia's Nightblade. And now a bunch of creatures dying, so the Black Market, or both of the Black Markets, are going to start making a lot of mana at the beginning of the turn. I've had this pointed out to me over the past few months and weeks. The Magic Online and the game log here says some really weird stuff, and I'm pretty tired of Billy Kills playing me, to be honest. Okay, and here is the Karmic Guide. Not sure which one they're going to go for, if it's the Elesh Norn or the Vorinclex. Maybe there's a Rakdos Charm here that they can do at instant speed. Won't hold my breath though. Yep, there it is, the Vorinclex. And then they're allowed to go for Eternal Witness as well. They get double mana from their own lands. And with the E-Witness, they went for the Aladamri's Call again, so they can search for another creature. I don't know what the... Yeah, I don't know what the Yidris player is going to do here. They could tap out the Pernicious Deed to get rid of the Vorinclex. I'm not entirely sure what we should do here. Let's go Misty Rainforest. And we'll go through to combat. Attack Billy Kills to try and dissuade the Yidris player from coming in at us. Might be that Kills has some means of removal here, but if he does, I don't think it's going on Lathril. Surely it would go on the Vorinclex. So managing to land for 2. And just want to get the tokens because I'll probably go Shamanic Revelation here to try and get into some form of an answer. And we can just tap down the Gaia's Cradle and the Llanowar Wastes to do that. Okay, don't think there's much of anything that helps us there. Yeah, we've started getting into a big chunk of Elves finally. Yeah, we're just going to have to hope that the Pernicious Deed goes off next turn. Now the Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of the Vorinclex. And the Yidris swinging in towards Billy Kills, who is wide open. Now, is he going to want to cast spells? He's got double mana, but he'll still put his lands to sleep. Well, he's doing at least one spell, seemingly. Okay, a Volcanic Vision with Cascade, and they are going for Dig Through Time, which will be 6, 7 and 8 damage. Vorinclex has 6 toughness. And they cascade into Vizier of Many Faces. Copy any creature on the battlefield. I don't suppose it really matters. They could go Eternal Witness, I suppose, and grab something out of the bin. Instead, going for Karmic Guide. And the Karmic Guide is pointed at the Spark Double. Spark Double comes in and makes itself another Vorinclex. So, yeah. Now we've got 2 Vorinclexes to worry about. Luckily, the double freezes of the lands don't matter. Yeah, I was hoping to see the back of Vorinclex, but apparently this whole game is going to be based around it. We will put Lathril back into the command zone. I think we are pretty much done for at this point. Might be able to get into Concordant Crossroads and deal a bunch of damage to someone, but everyone's life total is still pretty high. And then right at the end there it is a Dig Through Time. And again that obviously cascades. Looks like... oh no, they've still got a bunch of stuff in the graveyard. And they cascaded into another Yidris in the form of Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Alright, Billy Kills sorting us out with another big Toxic Deluge. 6 cards in hand over here, including some blue mana though, so they might be able to counter that. And of course they can. So instead it is Awaken the Blood Avatar, going to force them to sacrifice a creature. Probably sacrifice... ah, that's surprising. Yeah, they sacrifice the Vorinclex there. I would have thought they'd sacrifice the Karmic Guide because they're probably going to have to sacrifice that anyway. Yeah, it enters as a copy of the Karmic Guide, so it still has the echo cost. Maybe they just want the clones in the bin to reanimate and do crazy stuff with Yidris. Good to see the back of the Vorinclex though, hopefully for good. Although that assumes that the Abzan player can't just reanimate it again. This time Mirage Mirror becoming a copy of the Karmic Guide. And deciding not to swing in. I think some players might be going a bit easy on us because we put a lot of our resources into getting rid of that crazy board previously, so that's kind of our reward. Well, speaking of mana doublers, in Vorinclex, Mirari's Wake coming into play this time for the Abzan player, so thankfully not reanimating the thing. And then there is that Eladamri's Call again. And searching themselves up a Sheoldred Whispering One, so... yeah, might be seeing the Vorinclex again. There's plenty of other things that they can go for as well. Elesh Norn is another good one. A Beast Within goes on to the black market for the Yidris player. So with that, we'll finally go for this Snowland. And then a Pact of Negation from Brolfisto, so countering the Beast Within to keep hold of their black market. When does this trigger? Pre-combat main phase, so they'll still have to tap some lands into the Pact of Negation. I'm not sure how many of them are frozen though. They've got a blue land here and a blue land there. So that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. They might lose the game to that. Can this become a land? Yeah, it can, but they have to tap mana into it. The Pact of Negation might lose them the game there. I'm not sure. I might be not counting up the lands properly. Yeah, just pointed it out to my opponent. I wasn't sure if they could or not. Said he's got 2 blue, but yeah, it triggers on the upkeep, and that triggers on the main phase. Yeah, so just realising that he's 1 mana shy as I make it out. It's difficult with all these small lands, but I think he's 1 mana shy of that. So that gets rid of the Yidris player, who is the biggest threat at the moment, I think. Okay, Command Tower for another land this turn. So I think it has to be Elvish Warmaster first of all. We're probably just going to see Eleshnorn from this player next turn, but we don't have anything to buff our creatures with apart from the Elvish Champion, which will go down to an Eleshnorn. Yeah, we'll just have to hope that he doesn't do it. So the Elvish Warmaster triggers, gets us into a token. And then I think Masked Vandal to get rid of the mana doubler over here is the way to go. And we've lost all of our reanimation, I think, so it doesn't really matter what we go for here. Let's just get rid of the Miara. And then we will leave it at that. Don't think the Wirewood Pride is going to be of use to us. I'll probably just slam down the Elvish Champion next turn and try and get close to taking out the Abzan player. Oh, okay, that's really good. Yeah, I didn't think of that. So it looks as though Broffisto is going to be able to survive this one. Because if he copies the Priest of Titania, which he is going to with, oh no, copying the Mirage Mirror. So even if we hadn't played the Priest of Titania, he could have made the Mirage Mirror a copy of the Gaia's Cradle. Yeah, and he's still got the 2 blue mana, so he can tap for 3. Yeah, so just dodging a bullet there. Having to swallow up most of his turn to do this, though. Thought we might be rid of the Yidris player there. If we were playing really competitively, I would have kept my mouth shut in the chat, but wanted to bring it up there, and maybe if we hadn't brought it up, it would have panicked him a little bit, and he would have just not had time to think about it and ended up scooping there, or just losing straight up to the Pact of Negation. But we're not being hyper competitive here. We do want to try and have fun with it. Now, all of his lands are tapped, but he does have a bunch of black mana from the black market. And yeah, the Yidris player swinging in towards the Abzan player over here. And Broffisto deciding to deal 5 points twice to Perdido. And luckily for us, doesn't get the double cascades thanks to the fact that he doesn't have any mana left. Still have the Pernicious Deed to worry about over here, by the way. Hall of Heliod's Generosity coming in for Billy Kills. And I don't think I'm seeing any enchantment other than Bitter Blossom at the moment. Another Awaken the Blood Avatar. We are being forced to sacrifice, so we'll have to get rid of an Elf Warrior. I was hoping to keep as many Elves in play as possible, because assuming they don't go for Eleshnorn over here, I might be able to deal a bunch of damage to Perdido. But we might end up going down this turn anyway, if we have the Avatars swinging in towards us. Okay, and another one. Yeah. Alright, we'll get rid of the Masked Vandal. I think he's more worried about the Yidris than he is about our Elves. And he can get rid of us this turn. If he swings in all 3 towards us, he deals 9 damage to us straight away, and then 3 to us from going wide. So that might be what he does here. Alright, and allowing us to live just barely, we will go down to 1 here. All of them going in towards Yidris, by the way. He could get rid of the tokens with Pernicious Deed by going 0 on that. So if he doesn't want to go down to 9 himself, he'd best do that now. And there we go. Okay, we do not see the Eleshnorn, but we've lost way too many creatures here, and we're going to lose another one to Sheoldred, the Whispering One. I've been playing combat-based decks a little bit less recently because this is the type of thing that tends to happen. We just can't keep creatures in play. And this is just another one of those games, I think. So I think we have to give up on the Priest of Titania here. Okay, Azuri Renegade Leader. Can we do anything with that, I wonder? I think we definitely want the Elvish Champion in play. We'll try and get rid of 1 player before we go down. Go for Azuri Renegade Leader. That gets us into... we could go +3/+3. So that would be 6. And then we could go for... probably just Wirewood Pride. No cards in hand over there. So let's go for the buffs with the Azuri. Swing in with Forest Walk and Trample towards the Abzan player. And this is sheerly to draw the game to a close more quickly. A little bit of spite in there from our friend of the channel as well. Hopefully you're watching, Perdido. A little bit of spite from the Vorinclex. And he can't block here because we do have Forest Walk. So with that, we'll go Wirewood Pride to take him out, +X, where X is the number of elves on the battlefield. So that jumps up to a 10-10, and we'll see if Billy Kills and Brofisto can battle it out between each other. So managing to take him out. Now let's see how far we can last in this game. They pretty much have to get rid of us at this point because we're teetering at 1 mana and we can actually do some damage to our opponents. It might be that we can survive through both of these players' turns. Maybe Billy Kills leaves us alone so that we can get rid of Yidris. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think Yidris has haste, does it? No, probably means of giving it haste. He's got 5 cards in hand. Oh, and he also has the Creeping Tar Pit to get rid of us as well. Plenty of mana to activate that. He'll only lose 2 mana effectively because he taps down a blue source and effectively taps down another land in Creeping Tar Pit. But instead going for Villainous Wealth, aiming it at Billy Kills as he should, because if we go down, then he'll lose all the stuff that he gets from the Villainous Wealth. So a load of stuff here. Let's have a look at all of that. I'll fast forward through it all here and you can pause on each individual card if you want to read it. Just skip ahead like 20 seconds if you don't want to see all these cards. Alright, that's interesting. So they've gone for the Damnation first, and then they're putting all the creatures on the stack, so they're going to blow up their own creatures, but maybe that's the aim. I mean, Zulaport Cutthroat will trigger to all of that. I don't know if it's going to be enough to actually get rid of Billy Kills here. There's a Corpse Knight as well, so that is whenever another creature enters. That should be the last creature that they put on the stack. And the client is struggling. It was really struggling with the Corpse Knight there, so hopefully we get to see an end to this game without Magic Online shitting the bed. And they're not going to bother with these spells because they are largely pointless. So that is how the stack is looking. Jeska's Will is pointed at us because we have 1 more card in hand than Kills does. Reanimate is pointed at the Cruel Celebrant, so it looks like Brofisto is going for an Aristocrat's Win, which is obviously the Mardu player's tactic. And the Corpse Knight gets rid of us because we were at 1 life. Then Recruiter of the Guard enters and they search themselves up a Clever Impersonator. And they're going to get themselves a bunch of Thrall tokens as well in Sat's Will, so yeah, exiling all of that means, surprisingly, only 1 Thrall token from that. Didn't actually look through Kills' graveyard, but mustn't have had a big creature in there. So all of that comes into play. Zulaport Cutthroat will enter, and it looks as though they're going to have enough here, because Billy Kills is all the way down to 6. Now, just to rub salt in the wound, a Stunt Double, just making that a copy of the Cruel Celebrant. And then the Zulaport Cutthroat enters. Damnation will wipe all of the creatures here. And that will be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 11. So 11 creatures go down. That is 11 death triggers per creature that cares about death triggers. So Zulaport Cutthroat, the Cruel Celebrant, the Black Market, or both the Black Market, so that's 22 of those. Doom Traveller makes a Spirit, and the Ministrant of Obligation has Afterlife 2, so that makes a couple of spirits as well. Oh, and he's saying in the chat that he chose us for the Sat's Will, and we've been knocked out of the game, so that kind of fizzled. That's why I didn't get anything out of it. And then the Cruel Celebrant triggers will get rid of Billy Kills, and that is a game. And a hell of a game it was. Hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. Big thank you to the 2 patrons, Brofisto and Billy Kills, for supporting the channel. You can do that as well through the link in the description below. It takes you straight through to Patreon. And a big thank you to Perdido, however you say his name, for watching the channel as well. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully the rest of you enjoy it as well. Don't forget to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe before you go. I'm Tribalkai on the eedi-H channel. Thank you for watching.